Good morning, Happy Sabbath, Church. That was a beautiful, beautiful song to introduce what we're about to do here today. And the reality is that literally everything, not just 99%, 100%, everything's been done so we could come. And that's what we're here this morning. This morning is a communion Sabbath. In a little while, we're going to also experience the foot washing, and then we're going to come back up and we're going to partake into the bread and the cup. So the sermon will be short, but I do want to share a beautiful truth that I find in the book of John, chapter 15, and that's where we're going to spend most of our time this morning for the first 15 minutes. But there's one thing, if you forget about everything that I say today, there is one sentence I want everyone to remember. And the sentence is this: you were never meant to produce, you were meant to stay close. You were never meant to produce, you were meant to stay close. Now, let's get into our reading for this morning. So I invite you, if you have your Bible with you or your phones, please turn to John chapter 15, and we'll listen to Jesus' own word on the night before he died, and where he spent his last time with the disciples in the upper room. So John chapter 15, so from verse 1 to 10, and he says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean. Now, the word clean there is also translated as prune. So in a way, you can read it, you are already pruned, because of the word I have spoken to you. Verse 4, remain in me, and I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask anything you wish, and it will be done for you. This is my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands and will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. We'll leave it there for now, and we'll come back to the end of the reading later on. There's about 4 ingredients for those who like cooking. That's kind of the analogy that I'm going to be using this morning. So it's about 4 ingredients that I'd like to share with each one of us this morning, that we can find from what we just read here this morning. So the first ingredient is that Jesus says, you are the branch, not the vine. You are the branch. And Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Now, stop and think about what that means. The vine is the part that does the work. The vine pulls the water up from the roots. The vine carries the life. The branch just hangs there and receives. So when Jesus says, you are the branch, he's not insulting you, he's relieving you. You don't have to be the source. You don't have to generate your own life. your own strength, your own goodness. That was never your job. Your job is to stay attached to the one who gives you life. So when Jesus says, you are the branch, it's a good thing. The pressure is taken off each one of us. Now, most of us walk around like we are the vine. Like it's all on us. Like if we were to stop pushing, everything falls apart. And Jesus gently reminds us this morning, I am the vine. He is the vine. We are the branch. So let me carry this life for you. All we have to do, all we are asked to do, is to stay connected. Which brings us to a particular word that is sometimes lost in transition here. And it is repeated 8 times through our reading this morning. Which brings us to our second ingredient. And the word is remain or abide, depending which translation you're reading this morning. The Greek word for remain or abide is meno. Now, meno, if we really translate it in a simple way, it is to stay close, don't walk off. Now, I don't want you to hear these words because it's a weak word, but really the meaning behind it is quite strong. Meno means to hold on tight, to grip, to refuse to let go. It's the kind of holding on when letting go is not an option. So let me tell you a story about a father. A true story. A few years ago on the Bainbridge Island near Seattle, a father was visiting a property with his little 3-year-old daughter. They were up near the top of a bluff, an 8-foot drop down to the beach. I think that's about 5 meters. And in a second, the way it happens with toddlers, she started heading straight to the edge. He saw it, he lunged for it, and he grabbed her right as she went over the cliff. Now, here's the thing. He could have let go, because grabbing her meant going over the cliff himself. But he didn't let go. He wrapped himself around his daughter, and they both went down together, 5 meters down the cliff. And on the way down, he turned his own body to take the impact. He shielded her with himself. They both survived. And the police officer at the scene said it plainly, the dad is the hero. He took the brunt of the fall so that his little girl wouldn't have to. Now, that's an example for me to describe what meno is. It's the holding on to where letting go is not an option. I'm not sure if you experienced that for yourself in your life, but that's what it's about. Meno, it's about holding, gripping your hand onto this where letting go is not an option. And the reality is that is exactly what Jesus did for us. When we were going over the edge, he didn't let go. He wrapped himself around us and took the fall for us, all the way to the cross. So you don't have to. He held on to you when you couldn't hold on to yourself. And now he looks at you and me this morning and say, stay close, don't leave, stay put, stay connected. And goes further back in Isaiah where it says, the grass whitens and the flowers fall, but God's word stands forever. The same word, stay put, stay. So here's the whole gospel in one line. The one who never gets swept away says, hold on to me, and neither will you. That brings us to our third ingredient. Now, the third ingredient might set somebody free this morning, and I'm praying by faith. Jesus says a sentence that will stop us cold. He says, apart from me, you can do nothing. And Jesus doesn't soften it. He means nothing at all. Now, we hear that and we flinch, but it's actually the most freeing thing that we can read in this passage of John chapter 15. Because think about it. How a branch grows fruit. How do we know a branch grows fruit? You can see pictures happening in your mind right now. It doesn't strain. It doesn't grit its teeth. It doesn't lie awake at night stressing about whether tomorrow will have fruit or not. It just stays joined to the tree. And the fruit shows up on its own. The life flows in and the fruit comes out. The branch's only job is to stay put, to stay connected. So let me ask you a question this morning. What if the best thing you could do this week isn't trying harder, but it's to stay close? All that grinding, all that pressure, all that I just need to do more for God, what if you laid it down and simply stay close to Jesus and let him grow the fruit? That's the whole thing. Stop trying harder. Start staying closer. Our fourth ingredient. Now, the fourth ingredient, which is the last one, is a tender one. Jesus says the Father prunes the branches that are already bearing fruit. He cuts them back so they will grow more fruit. And when life cuts us back, our first thought is usually, where is God? Why has he stepped away from me? But picture this. When is a gardener ever close to its vine? When is a gardener ever close or tending closer to the garden? Well, surprisingly, it's when he's about to prune the garden or the vine. So when the gardener is closer, he's paying the most careful attention, leaning right into what's going on in my vineyard. That's the pruning. And he's never closer than when the blade is in his hands. Now, here's the thing. If you are in a season that feels like a loss, like things are being cut back, like there's less of you than there used to be, hear this with Jesus saying in a very gentle way. It may not mean that God has walked away. It may mean he's never been closer to you. So the pruning isn't him letting go. The pruning is him refusing to let go of you. So 4 ingredients. Let's hold them back together for a second. 1, you are not the branch. You are not the vine. You are the branch. Jesus is the vine. So let's remove the pressure off. Okay? Number 2, the whole game, it's about staying connected. fruit will produce. So hold on to with a grip that will keep you closer to Jesus. Number three, stop trying harder, but start staying closer and let Jesus bear fruit for you. And number four, when he hurts, he hasn't left. It's pruning time, and he's closer to you than he's ever been before. So which leaves us with one honest question this morning. If it's all about staying close to Jesus, how do we do so? Look, I trust that each one of us have already heard a message about staying closer to Jesus. And I would like to encourage each one of us as a community to share what you do in order to stay closer to Jesus. One thing I've shared with a couple weeks ago, one of my challenge is to stop picking up my phone the first 5 minutes in the morning when you wake up, right? And I'm still on the work in progress as well, because I know sometimes I just want to open my calendar and figure out what I've got on for today. But does that, in a way, disconnect me from the vine? I think it does. And I think there's also many things in our lives that stops us from having a strong grip or a strong connection with the vine. But reading our Bible, coming to church, fellowship together, singing, supporting each other, praying for each other, these are all ways we can increase that connection with God. And the question is, how does a tired person actually stay connected? Here's the beautiful thing for us this morning, especially today. Jesus doesn't just leave an idea about foot washing or communion service. On this same night, in the same room, he showed them with his own hand and his own knees. Before there was any bread, before there was any cup, John tells us that the vine knelt down. He took his rope, wrapped a towel around his waist, and started washing the dirt off his disciples' feet. The lowest job in the house. Usually, the slaves do that part, but Jesus chose to do it and to show us. And when Peter pulls back and says, "No, you will never wash my feet," Jesus says, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." So before you do any single thing for Jesus, you have to let Jesus do something for you. Staying close doesn't start with what you do for him. It starts with what you let him do for you. It starts with letting him wash you. So this morning, before we eat, before we drink, we do what he did. We take the towel, we take the basin, and we wash one another's feet, just like he washed ours.